I don't know about you, but whenever I look at citrus slices, they give me such a sudden boost of energy. They are very visually appealing, and I often turn them into cookies. Hi, it's Hani here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this step-by-step cookie decorating tutorial, we're going to explore a fun watercolor technique, and we'll make a beautiful, spontaneous watercolor citrus slice cookies. Let's get started. You're going to need edible paint. You can learn more about how to make your own edible paint in the description box under the video. I'm using round cookies, and I've also cut out a couple of these cardstock templates, and I'm tracing the circle onto the cookies. I'm using two different sizes. Now we're going to be making oranges and lemon slices, but you can also do lime slices. I think little green would look really nice with all these beautiful colors. So I'm going to start by cutting my tipless piping bag. I always press the bag with a seam in the middle and then cut straight across. You want to make sure that you cut the opening small, and then you can always make it bigger. Once you cut it big, you can't really go small, so you will have to change the piping bag. I'm starting with an outline. I'm using 15-second consistency icing here. This is the icing that heals in about 15 seconds. So let's say you have a spatula, you run the icing through the spatula through the icing, and the line that the spatula creates disappears within about 15 seconds. Or you can pull the spatula up and let the icing drop back in the bowl and watch it kind of smooth out, and it should be about 15 seconds. Now, when using this watercolor technique, what's paramount is that the icing is dry when you are applying the watercolor medium onto the icing. So give the cookies about 8 to 12 hours of drying time, and then you can move onto the second step. So the second step is to protect your work surface. So I've got my surface covered with paper towel, and I'm going to be using well, it's the same technique, but using two different mediums. So this is a sandwich bag that you can use, and we're just gonna deposit some edible paint. I'm using orange, also some lovely deep pink, and you can add yellow. This is alcohol-based edible paint, I should mention that. And I'm adding a little more clear alcohol, and we're just going to, you don't want to blend it completely together, obviously, but perhaps just distribute it somewhat so it will cover the cookie, and then you can turn it upside down and place it onto the dry icing. And now you can lift it up, and voila, that's how difficult this technique is. Super fun, isn't it? You can also bend it, fold it over like that, and then you can place it onto your cookie. So I'm adding concentrated edible paint that I prepared, and also some clear alcohol. Now keep in mind the alcohol will evaporate, so there's not going to be any alcohol left. It's going to evaporate very quickly because I'm using Everclear. Now here I switched to a food wrap. I used the sandwich bag, and this is food wrap. So you can try both of these techniques, see which one you prefer. Using the sandwich bag or food wrap. I feel like the paint sticks to the food wrap slightly better because it's not as smooth as the sandwich bag, but that's just my experience. If it's oversaturated with paint, you can obviously take a clean paper towel and just dab it in there and absorb that excess. And now we're gonna finish the design. So I'm using, this is like a soft piping consistency orange icing. We're gonna outline and then we're gonna create the white part, the pith. And then we're gonna dust it with white sanding sugar. Or you can use actually granulated sugar for this step. So this is a very forgiving design, I have to say, because the sanding sugar is going to smooth any kind of imperfection in your icing. So now I'm adding the white part. That's the bitter part that we don't normally eat. But I believe it's used in cosmetics or something. I can't remember exactly, but I think it is used in cosmetics. It has some really good properties, but I don't dare to eat it. It's too bitter. And I think it's also used in canning because it contains pectin. And now we can dip it in granulated sugar, or you can use sanding sugar, but for this project granulated sugar works really well. Now I'm using this handy tool, 2-in-1 tool, to push some of the icing that is sticking out a little too much and make it flush with the shape of the cookie. Here is the lemon one. So I'm using yellow icing for the outline. And you can see I'm using tipless piping bags. I'm also going to show you, if you prefer using a piping tip, you can use that. And later on in the video, you'll see me using a piping tip. And now we can come with the white and fill the gap between. I suggest that you dip it in sugar right after. You don't want to wait for the icing to crust, because then the sugar is not going to stick well to it. So do it right after. And then also, if you see that some of the sugar is sticking to the surface, you can use a decorating bottle or a rubber blower to help remove excess sugar. But I actually like it with a little bit of sugar on there. It's pretty. And after this step, let it dry for a couple hours. It should take maybe 3-4 hours of drying time. Here you can see I switched to a piping bag, yes, but piping bag fitted with a piping tip. And this is, I believe this is number 4 piping tip. And now we can come in with white. Again, this is that soft piping consistency around there. It's not super thin, nor it's stiff. And now we can create the segments. And I'm going to turn this down into the sanding sugar. And what happens, some of that sugar, because we are turning it upside down, it will kind of press down the icing a little bit. So again, use the tool to kind of push the icing back if that happens to you. You have to do it right after though. If you wait for the icing to dry, you won't be able to move it. Then I would suggest using a fine zester to shave those bits. If you have some icing that is oozing out and it's dry, you can use a zester to shave that icing. I love this technique because it creates a very flowy pattern and each cookie is different. There is some transparency and it's very spontaneous, very spontaneous, so fun to do. And I hope you will give this technique a try, whether you're making citrus cookies or maybe some other shapes. For a full step-by-step picture tutorial, you can visit my blog, hanielas.com. Link is in the description box under the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new to my YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified about my new uploads. And I will see you next time. Bye!